Okay, I believe I am live. Let me just check my volume here. Okay, I believe that looks better. That sounds okay. What I do is what I do is when I come on these live streams, I check my volume and make sure the stream is working okay on my tablet or my phone. So, and then I got to turn it down, the volume on my tablet, because if I don't, I get feedback, you know, kind of reverberations going on. Anyways, how y'all doing tonight? I thought I'd get on here and do a few things photography wise. Anyways, I'm going to talk about a few things tonight, and I wanted to show you some volume needs to be higher. Okay. Woody, do you think the volume needs to be higher too? Because I've got tonight, I thought I'd get on here and I got pretty good volume on my tablet. Let's hear it. Photography wise. Anyways, I'm going to talk about a few things. Let me give you a little bit more. I don't want it to distort. I'll give you. It needs to be higher. Okay. Terrell, do you think the volume's okay? The volume needs to be higher too. I'm sorry. I think that was. I thought I'd get on here and I'll crank it up a little bit more. Okay. But anyways, it might be something on your end there, Woody. I don't want to crank it up too high to get. Yeah, it sounds like I'm in a tunnel for a minute, but because I had my tablet turned up. Let's let that finish for a second. I spent the whole afternoon. I spent the whole afternoon getting ready for this. Okay, all right. It could be too, the stream has to kind of like settle down once it gets started. So anyways, there you go. Sometimes if I've got my tablet volume turned up, it'll reverberate, make like an echo through my microphone. So when I was checking the volume just a second ago, that might have been what it was. Anyways, yeah, we're going to do some photo editing tonight, and I'll tell you what I'm doing tonight. On this camera right here, my main camera is the Nikon Z50 Mark II. I've got it hooked up for live streaming tonight, and I'm using the kit lens, the 16-50 kit lens, and it's on autofocus full time. So if I hold something up like this, okay, in front of the camera, it should focus on that, okay? And then if I move it away, it should focus back on my face. Anyways, I got a secondary camera set up tonight, and I'll just kind of bring it online. This is my Pocket 3. You can see right there, when I get ready to do my Lightroom stuff, this will be the camera that'll be running while the Lightroom stuff's running. So yeah, let me make it a little bit smaller and turn that back off. I just wanted to show you that secondary camera. Anyways, I wanted to mention a few things. I texted David Sailors today because I needed some advice. I'd done a reverse collaboration request. Okay, I guess that's the best way you could say it. I've been reaching out to some of these lens manufacturers, trying to get some test lenses to test out on some of the Nikon Z mirrorless stuff that I got. And anyways, I got one response back from TT Artisan, and they don't have any test review products they're doing right now, but she said she would put me on a list, whatever that means. I sent out 4 emails, and I got a response from 2 of them, which was impressive, okay? Because a lot of times your requests like that would just fall on deaf ears. Anyways, I did get a positive email back from the second company, and I won't mention who that is just yet until I can come up with some kind of deal with them. But what they did tell me is they have a it's one of the used camera places that buys used gear from you. I won't tell you which one. And they do lend out or send out, will send out used lenses that they don't have a high demand on for you to test with. And I told them what I wanted to do. I wanted to build on my channel a little bit and do a little bit more lens testing with the Nikon mirrorless cameras. Anyways, I contacted David Saylor, since he seems to be the lens guru around here, asking him about what kind of lenses should I be looking for, to ask to test for, because I can just go on their website and kind of look at things. And anyways, he told me, he asked me about if I was out walking around the street, what kind of lens would I be wanting or using? And I said, well, I'm not really a 50mm guy like he is, but I'm more like a 28mm guy, or maybe a 35mm guy. So yeah, he said that would be a good starting point. So I went through their website looking at some of their used gears, and some of the stuff I came up with that I want to test lenses on. I've never had any of these lenses before. Well, I have had one of them, okay? I'll tell you which one that is. But some of these lenses that I want to test, I've never had before. So I noticed that they had a Nikon 28-300, which is a full frame super zoom, okay? And I thought that would be pretty cool to test out. It is a G lens, a Nikon G lens, and it's a variable aperture. It's 3.5 to 5.6 G lens. So it does have AFS, and I think it's got VR, okay? I thought that would be a good one to test on the full frame bodies like the Z8 and the Z6 II. I was also looking at some older lenses. They had a couple 28mm f2.8, and one of them was a D lens, and I know how these D lenses respond on these mirrorless cameras. I think most of it's manual focus if you've got anything before an AFS. They had a 28-105 D lens. Again, that would be manual focus. And then I got into some older things, like I didn't understand, I'm going to have to ask David probably for some advice, but I didn't understand the differences between AIS, non-AI, and AI'd, okay, whatever AI means, okay. So there's some other older lenses in there, and they're not asking a whole lot of money for those lenses, so I anticipate them sending me most anything that, in that what I just mentioned, most anything that they have. Now, I'm not too sure what kind of deal they're going to work with me. Do I got to pay for the shipping, or, and I did talk about some collaboration, kind of like sponsorship kind of thing, so you mentioned on the video or whatever. We'll see how that works. Another one I was looking at was the 18-200 DX, which is a popular DX lens, the 18-200. It's also a variable aperture, 3.5 to 5.6. It does have VR. So there's two super zooms in there. There's the 28-300 full frame, and then the 18-200 DX crop sensor lens. And with the Z50 Mark II and the D500, I could check out the crop sensor lenses that are out there. And one of them that really caught my attention right away was a 17-35 2.8D. Okay. Now, back in my day, when I first got into digital, coming out of film, okay, into digital in the year 2000. That year I shot about 25 weddings in different capacities. I was helping a professional photographer, and I did some weddings on my own. But that lens, that 17-35 2.8, was the only lens I owned, and it was on a D1X body, which is a crop sensor body, okay? And I shot weddings all year long with it, okay? And I also did hiking and waterfalls and everything else with it. That was like my go-to lens. I had it, and I had an 80-200, not a 70-200, 80-200. So that was, you know, kind of my go-to lens for a long time. They have one, okay? It's in mint condition. Minty condition is $326 for the lens. So anyways, I wrote them an email back, and the lady back, and I asked her to kind of lay it out for me, what I could expect, you know, what could they do, how would this all work, because I have no idea what they have in mind. So I'm hoping that, you know, this kind of works out and I can do some different things on the channel, you know, and do some lens reviews and stuff. You know, I don't have enough subscribers, and I don't have enough channel activity to be getting people contacting me wanting me to do reviews. I just don't have that, okay? And, you know, the way things are with photography channels and stuff, it's kind of tough anyway, so I'm not expecting a whole lot, you know. But anyways, one of the things, you know, with YouTube and stuff, it's gotten harder and harder. I don't know, something's happened since the first of the year. A lot of the activity has slowed down, and I've been watching some other channels that have nothing to do with photography, and it seems like the goofier you are, the more you get watched, okay? And I'm guilty of this. I mean, if you've got a goofy channel going on and you're just doing some crazy stuff, I might watch you for the whole time you're on there, okay? I don't know what it is, but I'm just, you know, I'm not built that way. I'm not a crazy person like that. I just like to tell it like it is, and, you know, deal with photography and what have you. So anyways, so what I've done here tonight, what we're going to do is I've picked 82 photographs. We're not going to edit 82 photographs, but I've picked 81 photographs out of my catalog, and they were all shot, they were all taken with the Nikon Z50 Mark II, and one of two lenses. Some of them were done with the some of them were done with the 180-600 lens on the Z50 Mark II, and some of them were done with the 10-20, okay, DX F mount, okay. Older, it's an F mount lens for DX, for crop sensor bodies. Now it has the FTZ adapter on there right now. I'm gonna take that off for you, and you can see the F mount DX little square window makes it a DX. This is a very inexpensive lens, okay. It is a variable aperture of 4.5 to 5.6. I bought this on refurbish for $175, I think. It's a really cool lens, and it's 10-20. Okay, it's 10-20 millimeters. It's really wide on the Z50 Mark II. Okay, I shot some photographs with it this past week. I did a video on that's on the channel, but we're going to look at the photographs that I produced, and when I get done tonight, I'm going to put those photographs, the raw photographs, some of them, not all of them, on my Google Drive, so you all can download those and check them out for yourself, okay? So let me get switched around here, and let me get into Lightroom real quick, and I'm just going to stay on here for however long I feel like it. It'll probably be about an hour or so, so if you don't want to stay around the whole time, that's cool, you know, just go ahead and leave anytime you want to. But we're going to do some edits, and if you got any questions about any of the edits that I'm doing or whatever I'm doing, why don't you just go ahead and hit me up in the comments, and I'll kind of pause for a minute and try to answer those, okay? So let's see, I need to go to here, and I forgot to start Lightroom. You know, let's start it right there. Oops. Okay, Lightroom is up. Wait for that to happen here just a second. Yeah, Nikon has had a lot of refurbished lenses, Woody, and I'll tell you something else they've had a lot of refurbished bodies. 2 times since October, I've noticed that you could have bought a refurbished Nikon D7500, which is a great camera, for about $550, okay? That's a steal, okay? Because brand new at B&H, they're about $900 right now. Anyways, we have got Lightroom up right quick. Let me make that window just a little bit smaller right there. Hold on one second there. It's kind of in the way. We'll do that. Okay, so yeah, these are the photographs that I've selected tonight. There are 81 of them, like I said. And what we're going to do first is I'm going to go through the culling process that I normally go through. And I have taken nearly 2,500 images with the Z50 Mark II. I've taken about 1,500 of those have been with the 180 to 600 lens. So when you put the 180 to 600 lens, it's very similar on a Canon, okay, for Terrell there. But when you put the 180 to 600 on a crop sensor body, you're talking about, what is that, 180, it's 270 to 900 millimeter reach, okay? I know everybody gets tired of hearing that, but that's a heck of a reach for this little camera, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start right here at this first photograph, and I'm gonna go to, let me get my, okay, I'm gonna get my information up there on the screen so you can see it. And I'm gonna get rid of the tabs for now. But as you can see, I've got my camera information up here. It's the Nikon, if you look in the top left corner, the Nikon Z50 Mark II with the, at 600 millimeters with the 180 to 600 lens, okay? And then the settings are right below that. I normally shoot at 1/1000th of a second when I'm shooting perch birds from my window. I might go higher than that if I'm out in the field and I've got good light. But normally when I'm shooting from my bedroom window into my backyard studio, you know, sometimes it's cloudy, what have you. So I try to keep it about 1/1000th, okay? And I found out from Phil, okay, that the sharpest aperture for this lens is f8. Not what you would think f6.3, which is the basement at 600 millimeters. You know, you take the 500 PF lens, it is sharp at its base, at its base f-stop, which is 5.6. So if you've got a 500 PF, you're going to be shooting it at 5.6 all day long, okay? With this lens, it's different. So when I first got this lens, I was having trouble with it, and I was a little bit frustrated with it at first until I found this out. Okay, I was shooting at f6.3 because I thought that's where I should be. And Phil has this site, and I was gonna have him show it to us on the last Photographers Roundtable, but I forgot. I'm gonna try to get it into the next Photographers Roundtable. But Phil had this site called Photography. What's that called? Photography Life or something like that, where they do these lens reviews, okay? And let me see if I can find that real quick while we're on here and show you. Let me minimize that, and let me go over here and see. Let's see, photography, I think it's Photography Life. Yeah, Photography Life Reviews. Make sure you get the right one. That's it right here. This is it right here, okay? So if you look at this, okay, you go under lens reviews, you can pull up anything you want, okay? Now, I was gonna get Phil to give us a demonstration of this because he plays around with this quite a bit. And if you look on here, there's every kind of lens imaginable, okay? you know, from every manufacturer. This guy's done his homework on these reviews. So if you want to look up something interesting, you want to find out about cameras or lens reviews, Phil swears by him. Okay. Anyways, let me close that down real quick and go back to where I was. He was telling me about this, and on that website it says that the 180 to 600 was sharpest at f8. So when I found that out, I changed the way I was shooting, excuse me, and went to f8. From then on, things were better, a whole lot better, okay? I was getting a much more keeper rate on the birds and what have you. So now what I do is I look at, let's take this photograph for example. I can tell if it's gonna work out or not, okay? And as you can see with this Titmouse, this is a raw photo now. It has not been edited. It's still got noise in it and everything. Look at the ISO, 10,000 ISO. Look at the detail right here in these feathers on its head. This photograph's gonna work out, okay? We're gonna apply some denoise to this, and we're gonna do some editing to it, and we're gonna clean it up really good, okay? In fact, I'll tell you what, we'll just stop here right now, okay? And we'll go ahead and do that. So the first thing I'm gonna do, this bird is pretty close to me. This bird's probably about 15 to 16 feet from me. There's a little trellis out there, and there's a little hanger, a basket hanger, and they love to land on there. If you'll notice, he's got a nut. I think it's actually a peanut, because I put raw peanuts out sometimes for him. I think he's actually got a peanut right there. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and start the edit process with this, and I'm going to show you what I do to edit this. 10,000 ISO. Remember that now. This is a lot of ISO. I would never try to edit a photograph from a D500 at 10,000 ISO. So we're going to click on the denoise. And normally I would crank this amount up a little bit for 10,000 ISO. So I'm going to go up to about, let's do 70. I'm just going to type it in manually so that way we get an even number. And we're going to let Lightroom denoise this for us, okay? That's usually the first thing I do. I used to do it the opposite. I used to do editing first and then denoise second. That's when I was using Topaz, but I've changed, okay? Anyways, if you'll notice, the photograph has cleaned up pretty nicely. Let me show you a before. Let me get over here a minute. This is the cleaned up version. Let me get them so they're both the same. I'm gonna zero in on this right here. So this is before denoise. This is after denoise, okay? You see the difference? Before and after, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna apply the general auto edits. I just go into basic, I hit the auto button, and I let Lightroom do whatever it wants to do. The majority of the time, and I mean the majority, Lightroom does a pretty good job when you hit the auto button. I like to tweak them a little bit, and normally what I do is I tweak them when I'm masking, okay? So if you'll notice, I'm gonna turn this off and on so you can see what Lightroom did. This is without the Lightroom, and this is with the Lightroom doing the auto. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna crop it, okay? And I wanna get rid of some of this extra area around here. So we're gonna click on the crop, and I'm just gonna bring these handles down. And see this little bit right here? I kinda wanna get rid of that. I really don't want that in the photograph. And you know, with the bird looking, I'm gonna do this some more. Just move that bird up into that rule of thirds area, which I don't always play by the rule of thirds, okay? Anyways, that's my crop. And actually I could do a little bit more right there. If you notice right there, I still see some of that right there, okay? That's a little bit cleaner, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bring the highlights, first I'm gonna mask it. I'm sorry, I need to stop here. I'm gonna mask it, and I'm gonna select the subject, which should be the bird, okay? So it did the bird. It didn't get his feet here, the talons, which is okay, okay? But it did get some of this metal hanging bracket here. So I want to get rid of that part. I don't want that masked. So I'm going to click on the mask here which we called mask 1, and I'm going to say subtract, and then I'm going to select brush. And I'm going to come over here with a brush and holding my left mouse button down, I'm just going to paint, okay? To get rid of, real slow right through there, get rid of most of that on there, okay? So now it's just basically the bird, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to edit the bird, okay? And I'm going to rename the mask. So I just right click on that and say rename, and let's call that bird. Kind of keeps me in straight what I'm doing right here. I'm going to create another mask of the inverse, okay? So if I click on the 3 little dots right here, and I go down to duplicate and invert mask, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to rename that, and we're going to call that background, okay? Now, you don't have to do this renaming stuff. I just do so I can, you know, keep track of what I'm doing easier. Sometimes I've got 6, 7, 8 masks in there, okay? Anyways, I'm going to leave the bird alone from now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the exposure on the background. What I'm trying to do is create some separation, okay, between the bird and the background. So as I start to reduce the exposure, you'll see the background's getting a little darker, okay? And while I'm at it, I'm going to reduce the contrast. I'm a non-contrast type of person when it comes to wildlife photography. I like to add it manually by using my whites and my blacks, okay? So I just kind of reduced that a little bit, okay? And created some separation between the bird and the background. Now, the bird may be a little bit hot, okay? So let's go and click on the bird mask right here and bring the bird up. And let's take and move the highlight slider down, okay? And if you want to see me move it, I'm going to move it drastically so you can see what it's doing. See how it's changing that? In fact, it looks to me like you could bring all the highlights down to nothing, okay? And one of the things, that's about all I want to do, really. I don't see anything more I need to do with this. If you want to, you can play with the temperature a little bit and warm the bird up just a hair. I'm working with the bird. Look right here under its wings, okay, as I move this temperature slider. See how much it changes? Just subtly change that right there. They do have a little bit of orangish brown under their wings. You know, you can bring the saturation up. Now remember, we're just working with the bird here, okay? That's all we're doing. Sometimes I'll take the texture. Again, we're just working with the bird. We just got this one mask going on right here. Let me bring it back up so you can see it. Show the overlay. Sometimes I'll bring the texture up just a little bit. Now, what we need to do is look at the whole thing. So I'm going to click on this masking button to drop all the masks down, and we're going to look at the bird, okay? It looks pretty sharp to me. I don't see any reason to add any sharpening to this, okay? This edit right here, okay, this edit right here is good enough to post on social media, okay? If you were going to print this, well, I probably wouldn't print this picture, only because it's got a man-made object in it, and he's got a peanut in its claws. Okay, I normally don't show my wildlife in that way, but if you wanted to post this on social media, that's about all you need to do. Okay, so that's one of them. Let's look at this next one. And I'm culling these as I go along. Okay, so I'm not going to edit this one. Let's look at this one real close. I don't think this one here is real sharp, okay? It doesn't look real sharp to me, so I'm not even going to fool with it. It was shot at 3200 ISO, but here's the thing with shooting from my bedroom window, and it'll happen to you too, okay? My heater from my house is out the side of the house over here. My bedroom window faces out the back. When it comes on, it's a gas heater. It's a gas pack outside. It blows, you know, makes heat waves. Heat waves is a big problem when you're shooting wildlife, especially with long lenses, okay? When I go over to Cades Cove and shoot, and it's a cool morning over there, and it starts to warm up, the sun sun comes up and it starts to warm up, you can actually see the heat waves coming off the land. Well, it'll cause your photographs to be sharp. You'll think that you're in focus, and you probably are in focus, okay? But it will cause your photographs to be soft, okay? I have lost more photographs to heat shimmers than anything else. It's a real problem, okay? You got to watch for it. So sometimes when the heater comes on, I get these heat waves coming around the house. Now, the only time I don't get heat waves is when the wind is blowing from that direction, from the east backwards. Then the cold air comes in the window in the house. Another thing that will cause heat distortion on there, and I'll have to show you, okay, a lot of people don't know this, all right, but I read this in a magazine article. Let me go get a lens real quick. So let me show you real quick on this example right here. This 500 PF, I leave the lens hood on it almost all the time. Well, if it's in the house, heat will get inside this lens hood, and when you go outside with it, or you open a window or whatever, the heat will kind of circulate inside this lens hood and cause heat distortion. Okay, I read an article about this. It's very true. I think Steve Perry actually talks about it. So normally what I do is I will take the lens hoods off, okay, or wait for a while until your lens gets acclimated to being outside, and all that warm air will leave that lens hood, okay? On the 500 PF, I usually shoot with the lens hood, but on the 180 to 600, I usually don't shoot with the lens hood, okay? That's just the two differences. So this Carolina Wren, even though it's a cute little bird, doesn't look sharp enough for me to work with. So we're gonna go to the next one. This one here is 7200 ISO. I'm not too sure I like that pose, so I don't think I'm going to work with that one. This is a better pose, and I'm looking at the details in the feather to see if there is any detail there, and there might be. This is 6400 ISO. Remember now, we are using the Z50 Mark II and the 180 to 600 lens, okay? So let's try this here. Let's go ahead and run denoise through that. Go into the detail tab, hit that button, and let's see what it does. Let's see if it can clean it up any. It may, okay, it just depends. You're getting up in some high ISOs now, and this sensor, okay, it's pretty close. This sensor, I think I'll work with this a little bit. This sensor in the Z50 Mark II is the same sensor, supposedly, that's in the D500 and the D7500. So, you know, I know when I shoot with the D500, if I get above 3200 ISO, I'm struggling to clean that up, okay? It's hard, it's really hard. Anybody that's got a D500 knows what I'm talking about, okay? Let's go ahead and apply some changes to this. Let's start with the basic in the auto, okay? And it's not looking too bad, is it, okay? You might want to write this number down when you get it out of my Google Drive. All these edits I'm doing, I'll put on my Google Drive, the raw files and the edited files. If you want me to put those on there too, I can do that. But anyways, what we're going to do is create a mask, and we're going to mask the subject. And let's see what that did. Yeah, it just got mostly the bird. It missed a little bit of its tail feathers there, so we can add that by hitting the add button and hit the brush, and I'm going to use the square bracket keys to change the brush size if you want to. And I'm just going to paint just a little bit right there. It's not really important, not when you're putting on social media like that. We're going to change the name of the mask to bird by double clicking on it. You can do it that way. You can right click and do rename. And then we're going to select the background, okay? And actually let's do that. We're going to click on those three dots and say duplicate and invert the mask. Now it's getting a little bit more than what I want, okay? I really don't want this tree trunk selected with the background, so we can handle that in one of two ways. We can subtract a mask from it, and a lot of times I'll use select objects, and I'll just paint, okay, I'm gonna make my brush a little bit bigger. I just paint this entire object roughly. You don't have to do it real good. Lightroom's pretty good at selecting things, and it's gonna select that, okay? And you notice it removed it. This background's still selected here, okay? So what we're gonna do is reduce the exposure on the background, bring that down a little bit, and the contrast. I usually do minus exposure, minus contrast, and minus highlights, okay, on the background. Normally, that's what I do. Yeah, it's a good idea, Woody, to cap your D500 at 2500, 2000 ISO. It's just rough to deal with. Let's go ahead and crop on this a little bit, okay, while we're working on it. And I'm going to take this left side out just a little bit. It's a little distracting right there. And the bird is not in the rule of thirds, but we're not going to try to do that. I don't play by those rules a lot, okay? So the lighting on this bird looks really good, okay? I don't even know if I can see what time of day it was. Yes, it was 7:45 in the morning, okay? So I'm not too sure what kind of lighting I had, but normally at that time in the morning, the sun is not even up yet. Look at this, okay? 6400 ISO, 1/1000th of a second at f6.3. If I had shot that at f8, it would have been sharper, okay? This is probably before Phil taught me the f8 trick, okay? Those days. I can't remember when he told me about it, but it was sometime in January, and this was shot January 3rd, 2025. This is a nice photograph, okay? I would not have a problem with this at all. Let's go give it a 2-star pick, okay? And that's pretty nice. I like that. Okay, I'm not even gonna do anything more to it. Do y'all see that I need to do anything more to it? Because I don't. Looks pretty good to me. I could make this tree a little bit warmer, okay, if you wanted to give it a little bit warmer feeling to it. And all you'd have to do is open up this and do create a new mask, select object, and do this, okay? Paint this object only, and it's going to select just this tree, okay? And then we're going to go down here and increase the temperature, make it a little warmer, and maybe give it a little more saturation, okay? Looks pretty good to me, okay? What do you think? Before, after. Before, after. Very minimal Lightroom work. I didn't even have to go out to the, he says crop the left edge a bit more. Oh, I see what you're talking about, Woody. Okay, yeah, I see it right there. Good call. I wasn't even paying attention to that over there. Anyways, I think it's a pretty good photograph. I'm gonna keep it, all right? Let's move on to this next pose. It's almost identical to that one, okay? Let's see what this little guy looks like. Nah, this is ISO 9000, okay? I've got some ISO 10,000s in here, okay? We'll get to those and we'll try one of those. That pose doesn't really strike me. Here's a bully for you. This is the mockingbird, okay? It's something else. I actually seen the other day, I've got a photograph of this. I don't have it on here tonight, but I actually seen a mockingbird had a hold of a bluebird on the ground, and they were fighting. Okay, they were actually fighting. The mockingbirds are just about as bad as the starlings, probably worse. They come in and bully everybody. this is a cool picture, but really this iron basket holding thing is really, you know, cramping my style. What I really need to do is put some kind of natural perch out there. You see this bracket right here in the picture? I use that and slide a tree branch in that to have another natural perch on the end of that trellis out there. So I just wanted to show you, this is 1800 ISO at f6, okay? It's not even at f. Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to get switched over here. I'm about to lose battery on my tablet. Let me get a power bank and put on it. There we go. I think that'll work. Yeah. So I had to put a power bank on my tablet because I was about to lose battery power on it. Anyways, I'm not going to edit that one. There's my Cardinals. Got a lot of snow going on in front of it. You know, it's a good picture, but it's not really a good picture. It's got too much stuff going on, so it's not really worth editing. Here's a titmouse. This one could be fun, okay? And especially if we crop it in heavily. So let's go ahead and apply the denoise to that. And if you'll notice, I haven't changed my setting on my denoise at all. Okay, I'm running about 70 on it. And we'll go ahead and run that through denoise. I'll tell you, this little Z50 Mark II, I'm having a whole lot of fun with it, okay? I'm leaving for Florida next week, and I'm going down to visit my son, but I'm going to be down there doing some bird photography, and I believe any landscape photography. I believe I'll be taking the Z50 Mark II and probably 2 lenses with me. I'll probably take the 10-20 DX that I showed you, and I'll probably take the 50 to 250 kit lens that came with it, okay? This is a nice lens. Now you put this 50 to 250 on that camera, you've got a 75 to, what is that, 325 reach. And this is a 4.5 to 6.3 lens. This is also, the only thing I don't like is that right there. It extends out from the barrel, but that's what you get, okay? This is a kit lens. It's a really nice lens. I've done some shooting with it too. So I'll probably take the Z50 Mark II, the 10-20 and that, and then I'm going to take the Z8 with the 180 to 600 and probably the 70 to 200. And I don't think I'm going to take the 500 PF with me. I think I'm trying to go with minimal gear. Anyways, that's the denoised version. And I tell you what, just looking at it, this is a f8 image. It looks a little soft to me. Okay, I don't see the detail that I'm wanting to work with that. So I think I'm going to just bypass that. Now look, instead of taking up space, okay, if I have an image like this that I'm not going to use after I denoise it, I go ahead and delete the file. And if I just come right down here, you notice the name of the file is different. If I just come down here and right click on that and hit remove, that's not what I wanted to do. I said remove from collection. I should have said remove from disk. But let's move on to the next one. This is a nice Bluebird picture. F8 1800 ISO at 520 millimeters. Let's go ahead and throw some denoise on it. Most photographs, if there's, you know, ISO 500 to 800 on up, could benefit from some denoise, okay? most photographs I've found do. It's got a fair amount of detail in there. Let's go ahead and hit the basic and auto and see what it does. Ooh, it made that bird a lot darker than I want it, okay. Let's go ahead and crop that. I'm gonna go with a vertical crop. Now, when you're in this mode right here, if you'll hit the X key, you'll get a vertical crop, okay, just like that. And you can make it a little bit smaller if you want to, just the same way, but now we're dealing with the vertical. And I think I'm going to leave that goldfinch in the picture behind it, okay? And I think the bird needs to be lightened up some. So let's do a mask on the bird. And it picked that right there too. Let's just subtract that with a brush. Oops, let me make that a little bit bigger. Let's get that out of the picture. Okay, and we're just going to work with the bird. So I think the bird needs to be lightened up some. I'm going to double click on the mask and change it to bird. And I'm going to increase the exposure on the bird. Okay, bring that up a little bit. Drop the contrast back on the bird and the highlights. Maybe a little more exposure. Okay, let's zoom in and look. It's not bad. There is some detail there, okay? Like I said, it was snowing that morning, so a lot of things can distract the autofocus system too, okay? Besides heat waves, heat shimmers. So that's not a bad little picture, okay? Let's put a 2-star on that. Moving on. This is one I've already edited, okay? This is a downy woodpecker. I just wanted to show you what can be done. This is 1000 ISO, okay? So, you know, it didn't have a lot of noise in it. It's just a pretty cool little picture. This is a black and white version of it I was playing with. This is a dark-eyed junco, also known as the snowbirds. Look at the details in the feathers of that. This is 1400 ISO at f8. Again, we're still using the Nikon Z50 Mark II, okay? This one here is at +2 EV. So here's another tip for you. If you're shooting in a snowy or bright scene and you're trying to shoot or photograph these birds when it's bright out, you need to increase your exposure value, okay? What I have found, 1 stop over is not enough, okay? I usually have to go to 2. Sometimes you can get by with 1.7. Now that's in a situation where the sun is not shining yet, but you got brightness going on with the snow. Maybe the bird is perched on something, there's a lot of snow in the background behind it. It's going to throw the meter off, okay? So you'll want to increase your exposure. There's nothing wrong with, to me, with making the snow bright, okay? Snow is supposed to be white, not 18% gray, okay? It was really cool because this is a handrail from my deck that had snow on it, and the bird had just perched itself there for a second, and this is all snow on the ground behind it, okay, which gives it one of those kind of like high key looks. I really like the look of this photograph, and the bird, the detail of the bird is there. There's a lot of detail in the feathers here and stuff. It's a cool picture, okay? I like it. This was the raw version of it before it was, actually no, that's not the raw version. This is the raw version. This was out of the camera, okay? So there was no, let's see what was edited to. There was no denoise done to this, okay? And that was a 1400 ISO. Here's another one, very similar, a lot of high key to this. It's ISO 2000. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of denoise to that and see what it does. I'm not too sure about this one. There's some detail there, but a lot of it's lost in this white down here, which gives it a certain look, okay? It might be a pleasing look to you. And, you know, it is kind of, sort of. If we were to crop that into a vertical crop, and again, how I do that is I click on the crop tool right here, and I hit the X key to change it to a vertical crop. And, you know, if the only thing I could see that I would probably do is I would reduce the highlights on the bird, okay? So let's go ahead and mask the bird. That's good, it picked it perfect that time. Change the mask to bird, and I'm gonna reduce the highlights, okay, a little bit, and probably bring the exposure down just a tad. And then I'm going to mask the tree trunk here, and I'm gonna do that with a brush tool. So I'm gonna go to plus, create new mask. I'm gonna hit brush, and I'm gonna brush this in, okay? Now, if you watch people like Anthony Morganti and some of them, they go into great big detail about masking and stuff. This is my simple way of masking, okay? I just click on it and go. I'm gonna change the name to background. I'm doing this for you tonight. A lot of times I don't change my mask names. I just leave them the way they are. Especially if I've only got two masks, like a subject and a background. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to increase the temperature on that, bring the exposure down a little bit, and make it a little bit warmer, and maybe a little more saturation, okay? Now, when you're using the masking tools, one of the things you cannot do is there's some things you can't change. You can't change the vibrance, okay? And another thing too is when you do sharpening, there's no amounts as far as what kind of sharpening you can do. It's just sharpness, okay? So if you're wanting to do manually sharpen, that's a little bit different technique. If you'll notice tonight, there's not one picture that I've applied sharpening to, okay? Not one. And, you know, that looks pretty good. Now, if you wanted to see what that looked like, if you wanted to see what sharpening looked like, I have a preset over here under sharpening, and I've got different values. And normally I use a medium, okay? Now watch when I move my mouse, but look, watch the top of the bird's head above its eye. This is with medium sharpening, that's without. It's very subtle, okay? And the amount that I use, let me take you up here and show you under detail. These are the amounts I use. In fact, this right here is wrong. This radius should be 0.5. I don't know why that's different. And the detail should be 100. I think I know why, because I didn't click on it. No, I did. Heavy, medium. Yeah, I got my presets messed up. That should be 0.5 and this should be 100. So the way I sharpen, when I sharpen something, this is what I use. Some people will use the masking tool. I don't even bother with that. I'm just sharpening. The amount is usually 45, the radius is 0.5, and the detail is 100. You might want to make note of that when you watch the video when I sharpen. But this is the only picture so far tonight that I have sharpened, okay? This is another pose of that same bird, probably. Okay, this is a final outcome, and it's got a pleasing look to it. Okay, only thing I don't like here is its claws look black. You think it got frostbite? I don't know. This is the raw image. They're awful dark, aren't they? Okay. I've never seen one with claws that dark before. Maybe bluebirds are like that. I just never noticed it. I believe this is a female of the species. The males are a lot more vibrant and colorful. Oh, here's my old friends, okay, the European starlings, okay. These are my adversaries. We go at it every single day. They come in here and just hang out and bully all the other birds and eat all the suet, and they're funny. And they come in here like 25 or 30 at a time. That was the raw image, okay? And this was the final edit. Here's a strange visitor to the backyard, okay, in January, okay? This is a raw file. I have not done any editing to it, so we may play with this a minute and see what kind of detail we can get. It looks like there's some detail here in the feathers. So what I want to do is, it's a 400 ISO, okay? What I'm going to do is try to edit this without denoise. So I'm going to go right to the basic module, hit auto. Oh, wow. Did you see that? Let me do that again. All I did was hit auto. Yeah. Let's go ahead and put a crop on it. Okay. Now, here's a little trick for you. Okay. Your crops does not have to be constrained, okay? What I mean by that is this. You can actually do your own kind of crop. What you do is over here where the little lock key is, if you click unlock right there, you can move everything independent of each other, okay? And nothing says when you're posting on Facebook or whatever that it has to be at 8 by 10 or 11 by 14 or 16 by 9 or whatever, okay? So, I really want to get this bird on the rule of thirds right there, which is going to leave this log over here in the crop. Well, here's a good thing to try is the remove tool, okay? This is something new. I'm going to click on this little icon right here, which is remove. Also, you can hit the Q key, which is a shortcut key. And I don't use this very often, so I'm not real good at it, okay? But we're going to go over here, and I'm going to increase the brush size by hitting a square bracket key, and I'm going to paint this right here, okay? Just that. And let's see what Lightroom does with that. Say remove. Not bad. What about that twig in the snow right there? Should we get rid of that too? Let's try it and see. I'm gonna make my brush a little bit smaller. I'm just gonna paint that. And I'm gonna click remove. Oh, wow. Okay, how about the rest of it? You wanna try the rest of it? Yeah, let's do that. Let's come up here. We're still using the remove tool, okay? We're still in that mode. See that click right there? I'm gonna paint it a little bit at a time. I'm not gonna paint the whole thing. And you may have to do it several times. I'll do that again. I'm just holding my left mouse button down and painting this stuff. Ooh, it got into the bird. I don't want to do that, do I? Nah, cancel. Let's take that out. Working pretty good, really. Let's go this direction right here and see what happens. Get that. You may have to do it a couple times. Do it in small swipes just to get it all out of there. And being that you got a white snowy background, it's in that beak again. I don't want that. I may have to, let's do this. Let's make the brush a little smaller. So it cleaned up, not bad. There's a dot right here I don't like, right there. Let's get rid of that. Some more of it, make it bigger. So it's not too bad. It cleaned up pretty good. Let's see if we can get rid of that if you want to, just by clicking on it, hitting remove. This right here, you might as well get rid of it. It's kind of, I'm gonna remove it too. It's kind of distracting over here. And finish this off. No. Like I said, you might have to do it a couple times. It's a good thing Adobe doesn't charge you for every time you do this. Okay, so much for that removing stuff, okay? Let's look at the bird now. I'm going to apply a mask to the subject, and we're going to, the snow's supposed to be white, so we're going to leave that alone. But the bird, we're going to raise the exposure just a little bit, you know, and I'm going to bring the contrast down and pull back on the highlights on the bird, and a little bit of warmth on the bird, okay? So let's have a look and see if there's enough detail there. There is somewhat. I don't think it's a very sharp image, okay? It is at ISO 400, and there's a lot of reasons for this. I don't know why. It could be the heat distortion thing again. Like I said, I fuss with that all winter long. Is this good enough to put on social media? What do y'all think? I think it is, okay? Let's move on to the next one, see what we got. Oh, here we go. I have had northern flickers for the first time in my entire life in my backyard this winter, okay? I've had 2 of them, and they're here quite frequently, and they like the suet, okay? They go to the suet feeder a lot, and they'll also, if there's no suet out there, they'll grab a seed out of the sunflower seeds. Yeah, I don't know if they're charging for this remove thing or not. I'll have to research that, Terrell. I know, be careful. I don't use it very often. I just thought I'd show it to y'all. But anyways, I think it's pretty cool that these northern flickers are here. You know, I think it's unusual. I've not had them here before. I'm going to go ahead and crop this first and get it tight. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's just do a vertical. No, I don't like that. I'm going to hit the X key to go back. It's really hard. This one here, he's on the trellis out back. We'll go with that. 4000 ISO, okay? It's not all that noisy, and if you're just going to post this to social media, well, you might not really care if you do denoise on it or not. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do some denoise on it and see what it does. Hang in there for a little bit. I'm going to go do a barn picture in a minute. I'm going to get done with these birds right here. So that is the denoised version. This is before. There's not a whole lot of difference. Look in the background in here. I'm going to zoom out. Let me get around his eyes right here. And, you know, when you look at, this is the denoised version. A lot of detail here in his feathers. Beautiful bird, okay? Let's go ahead and, let's see what I want to do next. Put the basic on it. Yeah, it didn't do much to it. Okay, when I hit that basic, this is before, after, before, after. I'm really not going to change it, okay? To me, it's acceptable the way it is. I'm not going to put any sharpening on it or anything, okay? Because it looks like to me like it's sharp enough, okay? Sometimes you don't need to add sharpening. I hear you, Terrell. Yeah. So, you know, this is the Nikon Z50 Mark II with the 180 to 600 lens, ISO 4000, f8 at 1/1000, okay? There's another unusual visitor, okay, the Eastern Towie, okay? It paid a visit on January the 11th, 2025. You notice the date on the file up here. When I do, that's pretty neat, how'd that do that? When I import my photographs, I do a file rename automatically. I have a preset for that, and it renames my files by date order. So, for example, I don't know what the file number out of the camera for this photograph would have been 1316. It's part of the numbering sequence right here. Normally you would see, if you was a Canon shooter, I'm not sure what you see, but a Nikon shooter would see DSC 1316 or something like that, okay? It just depends. I change my file names when they come in because I'm a date-oriented person. So my file names, the first two numbers are the year, the next two numbers are the month, the next two numbers are the date. So when I look at a file, I know what date it was taken at, okay? Just by looking at the file name. The 1316 is the sequence number, and that's a pretty unique number right there. You're not going to duplicate that from one year to the next at all, okay? Anyways, I'm not going to edit that one. There's another photograph of it. If you wanted to see what it looked like, you could just go here to the basic and hit auto and real quickly put a mask on the subject and bring up the highlight, the exposure, bring up the shadows a little bit, you know. You can just play around with it, see what it looks like. It's a cute little bird. Here's another one of the northern flicker, okay. On that trellis out there, 6400 ISO. Bellied Woodpecker, okay, the king of the jungle here. I get a pair of them every once in a while, come in the backyard. They make a racket now. Another cute little bluebird picture, evening sunlight, taken at 3:22 in the afternoon, about an hour and a half before sunset. I love the evening light, okay? I love what the evening light does to bird photography. I'm fortunate that where I'm sitting in my bedroom window, the sun sets behind me, okay, from where I'm shooting. It rises in front of me in the morning, which gives me a different kind of lighting, but it sets behind me of an evening, so I get a lot of evening glow like that with these birds. Let's see. This is another nice little picture, okay, of one. Hit the auto button real quick. See how quickly that cleaned up. This is at 800 ISO, so really no need to apply denoise to that. Again, we're still working with the Z50 Mark II and a 180 to 600 lens, okay. Let's move along. Sometimes these birds, like these white-breasted nuthatches, they flitter a whole lot, and it's really hard to get a sharp picture of one. I just hit the auto button on that. ISO 900, 1/1000. Okay, I need to change this this woodpecker pole. I've been using it all winter long. Get a little variety there. Another cute little bluebird picture. Okay. This little Z50 Mark II and the 180-600 is a very capable rig, okay? I am a firm believer in it, okay? I had a Z50, and I'm glad I upgraded. I wasn't going to upgrade to the Z50 Mark II, but I decided to when I found out that the focusing system was basically the same that was possibly in the Z8 and the Z9 and the ZF. Let's go ahead and play with this one for a second. A little denoise on it. It's ISO 4500. Still, my denoise level has not changed. It's at 7.0. I'll let that work for a second. Y'all get a chance, hit the thumbs up. It really doesn't matter anymore. I found out today that it doesn't matter if you hit the thumbs up or if you make a comment. That's not really what drives the YouTube stuff, and I really don't care anymore. Okay, I'm just doing it for fun. So it's okay, you know, it's got some sharpness, got some detail there. If you wanted to, you could clean that up with the same procedure we were just doing. Select the subject and let me zoom out for a second and just reverse that and bring the exposure down just a little bit. Sometimes in the morning when it's really cold and frosty, the backgrounds get that kind of like crystal blue, ice cubey type feeling to them. So I just leave it like that, okay? Like what it is. I'm gonna create another mask and just pull up another subject on that. And we're gonna drop the exposure down, the contrast, and the highlights. And I think what I want to do is click on lock to unconstrain it. And I could actually do a 1-to-1 here, square crop, and get by with that. I want you to notice how much I'm cropping in too on this 20 megapixel sensor, okay? Quite a bit, okay? Would you print that? I would. I mean, if I was looking for this picture on my wall, I don't have any problem with printing that at 8x10 or 11x14. You know, put a little sharpening on it if you want to. It doesn't really matter, okay? That's some sharpening I just added to it. 45 on the amount, 0.5 on the radius, and 100 on the detail. Pretty cool picture to me. Let's keep going. Another mockingbird. Yeah. I just kind of went through my catalog, and here's a rare visitor for me, a red-headed woodpecker. Came into my yard on January 21st, 2025, okay. Female cardinal, cuties. I'm going to do a sequence here. I'm looking at poses now. Okay, would I want to work with that one, that one, that one, that one, or that one, or that one, or that one, or that one? Pick one. So I'll probably pick the first one right here. Okay, and you know, it's the same thing, ISO 1400, f8. Let's move on through here. I get a lot of red-bellied woodpeckers. Now, this is odd. thing right here, and this really, this deer was probably about, let's see, I want to say it was about 100 yards, maybe 75 yards from the house. And it was down with some does in the field next to my house. I just happened to catch a glimpse of it down there, but it was limping, okay? And the reason why it was limping is right here. It has been shot. You can see the hole, and look how swollen its kneecap is, okay? And you can see it's got his foot off the ground. What a beautiful little buck, okay? And somebody must have took a shot at it and missed. And I don't know if it will survive or not, okay? Who's Clint? Anyways, it's kind of upsetting to see that, but I didn't know what was wrong with it until I pulled the photograph up and zoomed in on it, to see that kneecap. And I could see the hole right here. And there's some, looks like dried blood or what have you coming down the ankle here. Another cute little woodpecker photograph, ISO 1250, f8. Okay, now we're going to get into something a little more interesting for me, and that's, I love to shoot this barn. This is one of my favorite barns I go to. This was done with the Z50 Mark II and that DX 10-20 lens that I showed you right here earlier, right here in my little frame I'm showing you. And I took that out one morning. This was on January 26th, of sunrise time in the morning. And I'm just going to play around here with it just a little bit. And I'm not really going to edit these pictures. These are all bracketed shots, okay? But this one right here, I kind of like this view. I'm going to keep going here. Okay, this is not really a finished product, but it was an HDR combo where I combine the images. And this one here is a pretty nice one, okay? So that's not a bad photograph for the Z50 Mark II and the 10-20, okay? It's already been processed. I've done a lot of work to it, you know, where I've lifted the shadows and what have you, and probably added a little saturation to it. It looks a lot better in the summertime when this grass is actually green, okay? This is another one that's finished, okay, with the 10-20 DX lens. Pretty nice detail, nice sky. Let's see if I can edit this one for you. I'm going to go right, I'm going to do this one a little differently. This was at ISO 100 f11 at 1/10 of a second, okay? And it's already had the basic tab applied to it. So I'm going to do a little bit of work to it. First thing I'm going to do is look at this crop, okay? And I'm going to make the crop irregular. I'm just going to get rid of some of this grass. In fact, if I was going to put it on YouTube video, I'd make it a 16:9 crop like that, okay, which gets rid of a lot of the grass, okay? And these areas of the barn right here are really dark. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to mask them out and lift the shadows a little bit. And the way I do things like this is I click on Object and I'll just paint. I'm going to reduce the size of my brush with the square bracket, and I'll just paint this area real roughly right there, and it'll select it. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, create another mask with Object, and paint this one in right here in the center of this doorway. Okay, and then I'm going to actually I messed up there. Okay, let me hit Command Z or Control Z, and let's start all over again. Okay, I just removed both of those by hitting my Command Z or Control Z on a PC. We're going to go back to Object, and we're going to do that one again. But now what we're going to do is we're going to add object by clicking the Add Object. That way we're staying on one mask, okay? And we're going to do another Add, Let's see, get back here to the mask, add, object, and we're going to paint this one in, okay? So we got all three of those openings masked. You see how I did that by hitting add? Ask David Sailors, he will tell you. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to lift the shadows in those masked areas, okay? Let's see if I can zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And see how it's bringing out the details in there? Now, when you lift the shadows, okay, on something like this, you usually end up interjecting noise in the shadowed areas, okay? I'm not too worried about that right now, okay? That's before, that's after, okay? This barn is far enough back, you know, from where you're looking at. This area right here, this whole barn right here, looks a little dark to me, the whole side of this barn. So I think what we're gonna do is create another mask and we're going to select object and we're gonna paint the entire barn, okay? That's all I'm gonna do. Okay, did pretty good, even selected the building in the back. I'm gonna raise the exposure a little bit, bring that up, okay? And I believe I'm going to give it a little more warmth, raise the temperature of the barn. We're only affecting the barn, okay? We're not doing anything else. And yeah, might as well go ahead and add a little sharpness while we're here. A little texture wouldn't hurt. Texture adds a little sharpening to it, and not too much. Okay, so you can see it brought out the red, okay? This is before, this is after. Before, after. So see how there's red, the red paint has not faded from under the eave here. You can actually see that now, okay? Before, after, before, after. And that's just a HDR combination. They just created 3 images. I had probably a 1 stop over, 1 stop under, and a 0 exposure, and combined those and then worked on that edit. Anyway, it's kind of fun to play with those. This little squirrel out in the backyard, okay, we had out back there in the woods. I went out back and sat in my blind for a while, and that was all I could see. I've got a ground blind in the woods. My dad has a deer stand out there. He's 87 years old. He don't hunt as much as he used to hunt. He has a tree stand. He has a tree stand out there, and he still climbs the damn thing. Scares me to death. I have a ground blind that I bought from Rural King for $35. It's like a tent. I've got a little chair in there and a milk crate. I'll go out there and sit. I leave my tripod out there. I've got an old man Frodo tripod. I just leave it out there, and I'll walk up in the woods in the afternoon, tell my wife I'm going back there for a while. And this particular day, all I seen was squirrels, okay? But the important thing here is that was with the Nikon Z50 Mark II at f8, and the ISO on this image was 10,000, okay? Remember I told you it's going to show you a 10,000 image? Okay. Let's see. Let me move over here, you can see 10,000 ISO, okay? Cleaned up really nice. Single shot image. On a tripod, 1/800th of a second, f8 at ISO 10,000. I'm going to tell you something, folks. This sensor, they have done something to this. They have turbocharged this camera or something. This is not your typical D500 sensor in there. I don't know if it's the XP 7 that's doing this or what, but I am tickled to death with these photographs, okay? I mean, it's just a nice little camera, and it's a nice little walk-around camera. It's wildlife capable, okay, in skilled hands, and I'm not even skilled, okay. Nice. Look at the detail. Anyways, I'm not trying to sell you a camera. So that's the last photograph I got to show you, okay. I've been here about 1 hour and 15 minutes. What I'm going to do when I get done, I'm going to put some of these out on my Google Drive, and here, let me close this up for a second here. Do, 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 do. Is that me? No. Oh. That's me. Okay. Had to get my buttons straight. I've been using the Z50 Mark II tonight to film myself now. That's the main camera right here. Earlier I was using the Osmo Pocket 3, which is in the picture right now in the video. But the main thing was I was using my Nikon Z50 Mark II to video tonight. Like I said, I'm not trying to sell you a camera, but for $909 for body only, and if you've already got DX lenses, you saw both of my videos on the channel. If you haven't, go down and look for the Z50 videos. I have actually created a playlist of Z50 videos to go look at. But in addition to the 10 to 20 the other day, I had the 12 to 24 f4. Now this is my all-time favorite DX lens, okay? See if it'll pull focus on that. Put it in front of me maybe. There you go. This is AFS non-VR. There's no VR in this lens. This is a 12 to 24. I shot with this forever, okay, on my D7500 and doing wonderful, fantastic landscape photographs with it, okay? And how I know that is I went into my Lightroom catalog and looked. Okay, let me show you that real quick before I get off here. I went into my Lightroom catalog and looked, and I'm going to run back over here to Lightroom real quick. Let me minimize this. And how you do that, okay, if you want to see what you shot, I'm going to go into my main catalog here. Let me get rid of this, my library. Let me get into my main catalog right here. I want to start right here at the very top, which is my media. Anyways, you click on this little arrow up here at the top, okay? And then you hit the backslash key that leans to the left, okay? And you'll get this metadata menu. And now there's another way to get to that, okay? You can go through the menus to get there, but I'm gonna do it right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna click on metadata, okay? Like here. And I'm going to select my camera bodies. Now you can change all these columns. I got camera serial numbers. I've got cameras. I got lenses. If you want to change any of these columns, what they do, all you got to do is click on the little up and down arrow next to the name, okay? And you can select anything you want that you want to look for, okay? There's a lot of stuff here, okay? But on this one here, I've got camera and lenses. So when I'm searching, I said, okay, show me all my 12 to 24, okay, go all cameras first. You gotta do all cameras, and then find your lens. Go down here and look for the 12 to 24 f4 f4.0. If you'll look right here, it says there's 5,416 photographs out of 50,000, okay, that were shot with that lens. And now you can go here and look. I used to do 5 stars and blue. Those are my best photographs. But I can go in here and look, like this was done with the Nikon D3300 and the 12 to 24 f4 lens. Look at this image. It's beautiful, okay? Here's another one, D3300. This is down in Port St. Joe, down on the Florida coast near Panama City. D3300, 12 to 24 lens, okay? That's a beautiful picture. That's a great lens, okay? Here's another one, okay? Let's see now. If I want to go find some different bodies, I hit that backslash again, and let's go see how many of these photographs I shot with the Nikon D7500. And we're going to go down here till it finds that, and right here it says 3,417 of them were shot with the D7500. Okay, 1,500 were shot with the D7100 right there. And 89 were shot with a D7000. I've had them all. This is done with a D5600, a 3400, than the 3300, okay? So back to the D7500, these, you know, look at that image, okay? It's beautiful, nice image, okay? 12 to 24, no, I'm sorry. This is the 35 millimeter. Let's see, what did I mess up here? I messed up my, yeah, okay. I messed up my settings here. I didn't click on that, okay? These are done with the 12 to 24, okay? So, you know, you put this lens, we're not seeing that info on the screen. You're not, are you? Oh, you know why? Okay, hold on a minute. I am so sorry about that. I just now read my comments. The reason why is I didn't turn it back on. We'll have to do it all over again, okay? I should have realized that because I'm sitting here looking at, my screen, okay? I'm sorry about that, guys. Anyways, let me back up again. Let me start all over again. If you click on this little arrow at the top up here, okay, just click on it one time and then hit the / key. Now that's the key on my keyboard right above the return key, okay, that / key, the one that leans to the left. You'll get this drop down menu, and if you go, normally it's sitting here at text, okay, I want to do none. Okay, nothing's been selected. Now this filters your catalog, so be careful when you get done that you click on none to undo everything you've done. You go into metadata, and I'm going to look at the D7500. Okay, there was 3,400 photographs in this catalog from the D7500. 2,789 of those were shot with the 12 to 24. And when I click on the 12 to 24, these are the ones that were shot, okay, with the 12 to 24. These were like, you know, back in 2018, what have you. Okay, there's a panorama that I did. It doesn't do right when you're working with a wide angle. Another panorama. Let me get into some better photographs here. I used to shoot some real estate with it. Here's a nice picture right here, shot with the D7500 and the 12 to 24. It was a workhorse. It still is. Right here it is. It's right here on my shelf. Right here. Okay? I'm still using it. All right? Still on the shelf. So you can filter your catalog to see which lens you use the most, okay? If I go back up here to all cameras and I look down through the list here, and I'm going to see which lens I use the most. So the 12 to 24 has 5,400 photographs. The 500 PF has 9,200. The 14 to 30 has just as many as the 12 to 24. The 14 to 30 is a Z mount lens, okay? There you go. The 12 to 24 and then the 14 to 30, I'm looking at the wide angle landscape lenses. The 14 to 30 just edges out the 12 to 24 for the most landscape photographs in here. So there you go. I mean, now when you get done with doing something like this, like I said, you can change all these boxes here. All you got to do is click on the name. This is sorted by date. If you wanted to change it to something else, you could say, how many did I shoot in the month of December? Kind of gives you an idea when your shooting time is, okay? These are all photographs shot in the month of December, okay? All cameras, all lenses, okay? All serial numbers. We're just going by month now. If you want to see when you're active the most, when you're least active, look at me. I'm least active in June and July, okay? It's usually the hottest time of the year, and it's when all the snakes and stuff are out around in Tennessee. Okay, so that's pretty cool to feature to check out if you haven't ever checked it out. When you get done, make sure you click on the word none. One more thing I want to show you right here real quick is how to find something you don't know where it's at, okay? You can do a text search, and you can say, like right here, any keyword you might have put in or anything, waterfall. If you type in waterfall, it will show you all the photographs in your catalog that have the word waterfall in the keywords. Using keywords is important, okay? I have learned to do that, take my time and do that. Even if it's just as simple as putting in the word waterfall for any of these photographs, or maybe like this one here, if you look at this photograph, it's got a location. It says it's Potter's Falls, and it says it's waterfall, okay? So if I wanted to do a search here, again, bring that down arrow and hit that backslash key, and change my search to Potter's Falls. I'm just going to do Potter's. These are all my photographs from Potter's Falls, okay? Right here. That have the keyword Potter's Falls in them. So, you know, using keywords is another good way of finding things. But you have to discipline yourself. Click on the word none before you leave, okay? Or you'll end up with your catalog not showing you all your pictures, okay? Using keywords is important too, okay? Being able to do that. Anyways, that's about all. Let me see where I'm at here. That's about all I want to do for tonight. I've been on for about an hour and a half, which is a record for me, okay? Anyways, I'm going to put the photographs up in my Google Drive, and they'll be available to you tomorrow if you want to go back and download the link to the Google Drive and download the raw files I showed you tonight. I'm just going to put a few of them up there just so you can see what the Z50 Mark II images look like, okay? Do we got any questions about anything I did tonight? I'll hang in there just for a minute and see. Really appreciate y'all being here tonight. I know it wasn't as much fun as David Saylor's live streams or Phil's, but you know, hey, it is what it is. Nobody said anything, man. I'm clean shaven. Nobody said nothing. I shaved off my beard yesterday and splashed on some Old Spice, and I went out in the living room, and my wife says, "Ooh, wait, you smell funny." I said, "Well, honey, that's your favorite. That's Old Spice." She said, "Yeah, but you put it on kind of thick." She said, I gotta love her. So I'm 2 months into my retirement nearly, okay, and I haven't drove her crazy yet. But anyways, it's getting ready. It's getting ready. The winter's getting ready to be over with. I'm looking forward to being out and doing more photography, you know. And it's like I told the guys on the live stream on the roundtable a couple weeks ago, I am broke, okay? I'm done buying camera gear. No more camera gear, okay? I ordered from Amazon today. You know what I ordered today? I ordered a book. I had not ordered a book from Amazon in forever, okay? Yeah, Woody, you're welcome. I don't get on Facebook all that often, and I get a lot of crap on my phone and my tablets and stuff. It's hard for me to see stuff every once in a while, but I did love the detail on that Blue Jay. That was really a nice photograph. What did you use to shoot that with, Woody? He retracted his message. I can see that. Anyways, hey, thanks a lot, guys, and I'm going to get off here, and I'll talk to y'all later, okay?